folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm Johnny Drama.
And I'm the big boss.
And why are you Johnny Drama?
Because what did we watch this morning, Matt?
Entourage.
We did. We told you suckers months ago that on the day it came out, we'd be hand in hand. Well, we didn't the day it came out, but the day afterwards, in the morning, Saturday morning, when all the kids
later,
are there,
me
and Matt were holding hands, watching Entourage.
I don't know about all that, but
drinking out of one cup, two straws.
I don't know about all that either.
It wasn't a big, huge Fast and the Furious 7 collectibles cup,
but it was better than Furious 7.
Well, I did see Furious 7, and Furious 7 was good.
I'm not hearing this right now. The only movie I'll accept for being better than Furious 7 is Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, and it was. But anyway, Entourage was great.
Do you know who likes Mad Max Fury Road?
Quizmaster?
Our sponsor.
Who is our sponsor?
Johnny Danger Step.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
He does. That's like his favorite movie of all time.
If you're a lass and laddie, you need to call Stepdaddy.
Having trouble with your favorite RPG? Beat that baddie and call Stepdaddy.
If you're at the pub alone because you got stood up by St. Patty, why don't you give a text to John Stepdaddy?
Wow. Wow. That went from right field to second base to first. You got to
be honest. Did you write yours down?
No. All right,
it's just quick like that.
Just quick like that.
Entourage just got his mind pinging.
Which was great. I'm just telling you, Mission Impossible 5 better step up their game because if they want to be movie of the year, it's going to be tough.
How's that preview, though, on the big screen?
Oh, the preview looks excellent.
It does.
So we got a few comments from last week. First is from Travis Parker 1000. He said, the thing that is magical about Cowboy Bebop, that if you can get past the first 6 episodes, you're hooked. And while he agrees Toonami was good, but Megas XLR and Zoids were 2 good shows as well.
Yeah, and those were some that were on my honorable mention list. I love Megas XLR, and Zoids was pretty cool to me. But Megas XLR was really cool.
Is it true about Cowboy Bebop, though? You get through the first 6 episodes.
I don't. Sorry.
Wait, who is here?
What? Did you just throw your voice, CJ?
No, I didn't.
That's right, folks. We have another guest here. It is
Emily.
And she is here to confront her hubby on some things that he's been missing because you've actually had some notes for him the past couple of weeks, I understand.
That's true.
Well,
What's with him giving out this information? Misinformation and stuff are not enough.
Wait a second. You can continue with this, but we didn't answer the question by our viewer.
In just a minute, Kanye West. We did, but let her finish.
Kanye West. This is the one that interrupted over here.
First off, Cowboy Bebop was actually released in 1998. It's not a 2000.
But we didn't see it until the 2000s.
Well, now to be honest, we did say, and you know what? Dak says this about South Park. He said he liked it. He agrees 100% with you. That was the #1 show. But he said technically the series started in the 90s. But remember, Dak, the rules have always been it has to have taken place mostly within that decade,
right,
for it to be counted. Now, I would consider it a 90s cartoon, too, because that's the only time I watched it.
Now, I do.
But it showed the entire 2000s, so properly it was set within that decade.
It spent more years in the 2000s.
It spent 10 years in the 2000s,
exactly.
3 in the 90s.
Which is the maximum.
5, right. But actually, if you go back and listen to the podcast closely, I actually do say that I consider it a 90s show. Right. Because it's very much that late 90s feel, yeah. And so most of the 2000s still felt like that to me, but yeah. So I think that goes along to the Cowboy Bebop stuff too. How many years did it run in the 2000s?
How dumb is he?
Oh, come
when it comes to
No, the deal is we didn't see it on our side of the pond until the 2000s.
That's fine.
We do have his missus over here to make sure.
This is not my idea. All the people out there.
I'm loving this.
But you're not necessarily opposed to it either. If only we had a video camera in here.
Rubbing her hands together there. Okay.
Well, what are we talking about today, man?
We're talking about top 5 martial art movies.
What?
I don't know if anyone brought subtitles to their martial art movies, but if you did, bonus points.
I did not.
So I'm not going to put subtitles in my listings here in the fear that I will be corrected. So what I'm going to do is put the English title. Number 5 is going to be I'm going to put Bloodsport at number 5.
Well, that's my number 5 as well.
Let's talk
talk about Bloodsport.
All right, we've talked about Bloodsport before, and I think we talked about it before because it was sequels that are not as good as the original.
That's right.
Because Bloodsport, while it was a great movie and the original spawned off a hell of sequels.
It did.
It's terrible. But let's talk about the first Bloodsport.
Do you mind if I just interject for one? I think that we could probably, honestly, both of us talk about this in one word. Kumite, 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 Kumite.
Matt, watch the movie. Why haven't you watched Bloodsport?
Why haven't you watched Bloodsport yet, Matt? You promised weeks ago.
I don't know.
Watch it.
I don't think I
Watch the
promised.
movie.
No, we're drinking beer and watching Bloodsport.
Yeah, we were drinking beer and watching Bloodsport.
Okay.
Frank Dukes is going to come to your house and say, put up the Dukes. And then Megan's going to be like, the Duke boys are here. And we're going to be like, no, it's Van Damme. It's Frank Dukes.
I've actually got 2 on my list that are inspired somewhat by true events. And Bloodsport was based loosely on true events.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about Bloodsport.
Bloodsport, I have seen it. It's the one where Charlie Sheen's wrapping his hands in tape and dipping them in Skittles and sprinkles. And, oh, wait, that's Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry.
Not winning.
I was way off.
Next. All right, so Bloodsport. Back to why it's number 5 on our list.
Okay. Well, in the 90s, Bloodsport, then was the 90s.
No, it was 88.
It was 88. Okay, Bloodsport, in the 80s, you had all these action movie star juggernauts, and Jean-Claude Van Damme was one of them.
I agree. And this is the one that started it all.
It had to me some of the most impressive. It wasn't as quick or as fast as like a Jet Li kung fu movie, but it had this brutal, gritty way about it, and that's what I liked about it.
It took martial arts, which predominantly in the past had been an Eastern culture type thing, and this is one of the first movies. Well, not one of the first movies, but one of the bigger movies that kind of made it a little bit more mainstream. Sure, Enter the Dragon did years before, but it kind of made like a superstar out of Van Damme. And you had this guy that was, doing the splits in between 2 chairs.
That was one of the cool stunts.
Yeah, and he had the split kick and things were fancy. But what made it cool for a martial arts movie was that it was a martial arts tournament. So much like Enter the Dragon, you had like this, this vested interest in the American who was in a foreign country who had to go through and beat, all of the foreigners at their game there in a martial arts tournament,
It's just a really good movie.
It is. Now, it's a B movie through and through, but it's about as good as a B movie can get. And a very cheesy 80s kind of,
And some of the kicks and the stunts that Jean-Claude Van Damme does in that movie are really impressive.
Come on, whenever he, the stuff gets thrown in his eye. But then that slow motion when he punches and all the sweat.
But then he does those kicks 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Whoa. But they did that a lot in his movies where they would show the same kick 80 times just to make it look like he kicked the dude in the face that many times, but it's just the same one over and over and over again.
Still, man, that movie.
You know what? As much as Bloodsport put Jean-Claude Van Damme on the map, I think Bloodsport put TBS on the map.
Yeah.
Because that's all TBS used to show was Bloodsport. Like, I could watch it. That's why I know so much about it. I saw it on TBS every other night.
That's funny. Yeah. That's funny.
Bloodsport.
All right, so good number 5.
Great villain, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Bloodsport.
Yeah, Chong Li.
Love the Chong Li villain.
Yeah.
And it was just, oh, man. Okay, we could talk about it. I got to have a whole podcast on Bloodsport.
You need to watch this.
For another time.
I've gone this long without seeing Bloodsport. And you like martial arts movies.
I'm getting a few ideas why. So my number 5 is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But just the cinematography of the entire film is so beautiful to me. They do a good job showcasing their environment along with the fights. Because I'll be honest, it is about the fights. And it's about the setup. It's about the conditions. But for me, it was the scenery
too. There's a strong art film aspect.
I always viewed Crouching Tiger as more of a love story, really.
It's a great
martial arts movie.
It can be called a love story too.
The thing I loved about that movie was that certainly wasn't the first movie to do wire work, but they were certainly the best.
That's the reason why
it was. I think it's still the best. Still the best.
Not to be a buzzkill here to poop on this. But I don't like Jet Li movies. I didn't like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon because I understand that it's an artwork. It's just for me, I don't like wire work.
It's a different style.
It is a different style, and I get that, but I just don't.
And it kind of. But see, that wire work isn't the only reason I like it, and I do like the wire work in it. But I agree. I think the imagery in this that we saw are some of the most beautiful.
I agree with that.
Pictures, and then of course I love the fights.
I'm gonna tell you a better movie of that genre, in my opinion, was House of Flying Daggers.
I love that one.
That one to me took everything that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was and made it a little bit better.
Really?
To me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I that would be my number 5.
That's a good 5.
It's number 5.
That's a good one.
Okay. What's number 4?
Rumble in the Bronx.
No, that was one of my honorable mentions. I love that movie.
Rumble in the Bronx almost made mine, but I promised myself I wouldn't make this a top 5 Jackie Chan.
We were talking about that. We could have a list that's just Jackie Chan.
I limited myself to one Jackie Chan movie, and it is on my number 4 next. So go ahead and talk about, because Rumble in the Bronx, first off, is fantastic. That almost made the list.
Right, and the thing about Jackie Chan is he's such a versatile performer. Number one, he's great in his craft of martial arts. He started out doing Peking opera. And that's basically, they teach you martial arts in that. But that's Peking opera kind of goes along with that Once Upon a Time in China, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But Jackie Chan had this way of to focus on stunts and have fun. He didn't take himself seriously.
We were trained to be a comedian as well.
Exactly. He's bringing
it's
all
like
of
the Chinese vaudeville. Like
yeah.
So you had all of that vaudeville type, over the top comedy, Marx Brothers type of comedy, added with the fact that the Eastern Hemisphere loves martial arts.
And and he's a brilliant martial artist, and I think he was just a home run hit for anybody. And
I agree. And that was his first movie that crossed over to America so well.
Was it Rumble in the Bronx?
That was my first time to experience him. I was like, who is this guy?
It's awesome.
That wasn't my first one to see. I think Mr. Nice Guy was my first one to see.
Mr. Nice Guy was your first one?
But a lot of Rumble in the Bronx, though, was filmed a few years before 95, but then it releases in 95 in America. He gets big. And then what they started doing was taking all of his movies and repackaging them. And Mr. Nice Guy was, I think, something like that.
And the one I have was packaged, it released in America after Rumble in the Bronx, but it was filmed way before.
Legend of the Drunken Master. Was one that he did before Rumble in the Bronx, but that is an A+ movie for me.
Out of all three of you, nobody mentioned Jackie Chan Adventures for 2000 cartoon.
I never saw it.
It's a travesty. That's all I was going to mention that.
Would that be in your top 5?
Yeah.
It would. Wow.
And I love that show too. I forgot about it.
Okay.
I've never watched it yet.
Rumble in the Bronx.
There you go. All right. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 on my list is a movie called The Protector. And it is a Tony Jaa movie where he has an elephant, a pet elephant, and it gets stolen, and the whole movie is about him getting his elephant back. And it is just the most incredible, vicious. It's got some of the and by Matt's look, it's either his number 1 or number 2. Like, I just took it from him again. I snatch your number 1 or number 2 every week, don't I? And I take it and I make it my own.
No. He's gonna come back for revenge like Tony Jaa.
No, he will. No, that movie has some of the greatest action sequences that I've seen. Set pieces. Number 1, there's a great one-on-one fight scene in like this church or this boiler room type thing where they're in the water.
Yes.
And then
that's toward the end.
Yeah, that's toward the end. Right. And then there's one where he fights like these 30 dudes that are all dressed in black, and he just breaks their arms or their legs. Like the whole sequence is either breaking an arm, a leg, or a shoulder or whatever, just immobilizing all of them. But the greatest scene in that movie is this like one take going through this restaurant, up this hotel, up this spiral staircase. And it's not just following behind him either. Like, it does this really cool thing where, like, he starts to go up, they stay on the floor, he jumps over the side, climbs up the other side. Then the camera goes up, it goes back down, it goes up.
Yep. The camera's always in motion.
Yeah.
Right. It is my number 3.
See, and that's
number 1 and number 2 are safe this week.
Because Jaa, I love.
But what's so cool is we just talked about Jackie Chan,
too.
How he kind of comes from the comedy realm. But Tony Jaa, there is nothing comedic about anything he does. He's so serious.
He is serious.
Once again, here we are talking about the cinematography for that more than the martial arts, which is fine because I completely agree. I think that scene,
they kind of go hand in hand because it's all one big
dance. They do go hand in hand, but that scene, that's what jumped it over Ong Bak.
Okay, well, if you want to talk about,
because I had to pick one Tommy Jaa movie.
If you want to talk about martial arts, I'm gonna say that Tony Jaa helped further the MMA craze because one of the biggest martial arts to mix with the MMA is Muay Thai. And that's what Tony Jaa is disciplined in Muay Thai. And when he exploded onto the scene and everybody saw how cool this was and how effective this martial art was, I mean, obviously people started looking into it jiu-jitsu and everything, but I would think he helped spur that.
So you did snatch my number 3. Very good.
So what's your number 4?
Number 4 is Jackie Chan. It is Super Cop.
I love Super Cop.
Super Cop is
Everything.
great.
My brother's is actually First Strike. That's his favorite.
I love
one.
First Strike too.
I love First Strike. Super Cop to me, it just flowed. I mean, the way Jackie Chan moves, and honestly, the same thing in Rumble in the Bronx when he was sliding through that shopping cart. He makes everything look so simple, and of course, that was after several takes. As we know. But the thing is, though, how he sometimes he's got to make so many fluent movements in front of the camera all at once. You know that takes time to do. He is incredibly talented in my mind, and make not only pull it off, but make it look so easy, especially after 100 times of hitting it hard, biting it, and then knowing in the back of your head, ooh, this is gonna suck if I do this again, but just goes right at it.
That's one of my favorite things. Yeah, like watching a Jackie Chan movie is like watching an awesome martial arts movie, but then if you're a 14-year-old and you still watch skater videos after the credits.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's funny that you say that he makes it look so easy. And then at the end of his movies, he shows you all the failures.
How hard it was, all the failures.
And all that does is make you respect it even more.
I know. I respect him even more for that. But that to me, and you know what? There is no wrong pick when it comes to Jackie Chan movies. No. I would agree with anyone's pick. I had to make a hard. That is a hard choice for me. But I went with Super Cop because overall, I think that was the best one for me. But I love them all.
Super Cop has like this incredible stunt in it that I swear I rewound because I had this on VHS back in the day. I rewound it honestly 100 times and watched it over and over again. And it's close to the end, and they're in a I don't remember if it was him or Michelle Yeoh, but they were in like the market scene, and there was a motorcycle. And he like was in like this crouching position and like jumped up onto the motorcycle, cranked it, and took off all in one like zoom. And I was like, how did he do that? Like it was just
there's no wires on him.
No, yeah, and that's my key with wires because I don't disrespect the art form of it, but I was introduced to Jackie Chan before
I can see that.
To Jet Li, and Jet Li was the one that introduced me to wire work. So, like, I respected that whole, like, you know what, I'm going to try this particular stunt over and over and over again until I get it, but I'm going to do it without any help versus that other art form. So that's kind of where that came from. But I love stuff like that. I love that type of, like, just those simple things that aren't, like, things that you might see on a preview. But every one of his movies has some sort of, like, thing that'll just blow your mind that's just something simple like that.
Yep. Again, Jackie Chan for another day, but obviously so much to talk about with him.
So number three.
All right, number three.
Number three, I'm going to put, and I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, so you guys can, in the comment section or whatever.
Predator 2.
No.
Danny Glover.
It's still a good martial arts movie.
Hey, Van Damme was originally the Predator.
Oh,
so I
mean, we can. I'm gonna. It's Ip Man.
Yeah, IP Man? I just call it IP Man, but that's
whatever.
That's what I call it too.
Ip Man.
That's my way, Emily.
You know what? I've never seen that one. Tell me about it.
Okay, so this movie is another one that I was talking about based on true events. You have Ip Man, who was Bruce Lee's mentor and taught him the art of Wing Chun. Now, this movie takes place around the events of the Japanese occupation of China. And they hold this tournament, and they tell Ip Man to bow, because he's still going about his way teaching people Wing Chun. And they tell him to bow to the Japanese occupation, and he says no, because he doesn't want to lose his pride. So this is all about a fight for his pride as being Chinese and his martial art. And there's this guy, I don't know his name, and I feel dumb for coming to this podcast and not knowing the actor's name. But the actor that portrays Ip Man is a fantastic martial artist. Is it Donnie Yoon? Donnie Yoon.
Something like that, yeah.
Donnie Yoon, okay. And he's a fantastic martial artist. If you go back and you watch some of his stunts, he moves his hands so fast. They're not speeding up the film. The guy is just that good. You want to talk about some of the, you like Tony Jaa and how brutal his stuff is.
Very impressive.
This is very, very impressive. There's this one scene where they're trying to showcase Japanese Shotokan against Chinese Wing Chun. And he just destroys an entire school of Shotokan. They're all sitting there taking turns at him, and he just destroys them one after the other. And it's great. It's a good movie. A great story. Great story. And it does have a sequel, but I haven't seen the sequel.
Okay.
I want to say it has like a third, too.
It does. It doesn't have a third?
Or something like
that. I need to get to watching it. The first one,
I
enjoyed the first one so much, I just haven't even moved on to the second and third, but I need to.
Okay. Do you have a third pick?
I do have a number 3, and The Raid Part 1, The Raid Redemption.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So let's back up.
I'm glad you specified.
Let's back up.
Okay.
You've got Jackie Chan, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to Tony Jaa, and you can see a lot of influence there. You can kind of see this, from a filmmaking, from a martial arts aspect. You can kind of see where Tony Jaa was kind of, maybe not the same style, but at least you can tell he was influenced by Jackie Chan, because you can kind of see this progression, right? Mm-hmm. In my eyes, anyway. When you get to The Raid, whereas Jackie Chan is jovial and fun and nice and neat, and then you get to Tony Jaa, and you have these complex fight sequences where they're putting these things together and everything is well choreographed. You get to The Raid Redemption, and it is just brutal and fast and unrelenting and unforgiving and painful, but beautiful at the same time.
I have never seen a movie make that much blood look good.
No,
you know what I mean?
And it takes everything about it's such a simplistic story. It takes Die Hard. I guess they just took the greatest action movie of all time, Die Hard, and said, okay, let's put this guy in a building and make him fight his way to the top. We've talked about this a little bit before in the past, kind of like Judge Dredd, kind of the same concept. Go through this den of criminals.
Basic, and we see this a lot in the movies, but it's also the same thing for a basic video game concept. Beat the boss at that level, go to the next level. It gets harder,
right,
the higher you go.
Yeah.
But it works. It works.
And this movie is like that in the sense of it establishes a main bad guy and then kind of a sub bad guy, and then as they go up the levels, and it has a good story to it too. Whenever you kind of see who's doing what and why they're doing what and who's connected to who and that sort of thing. But each level that he goes up and then has to go down and then has to go up, the fight sequences in such close quarters with such limited resources is beyond anything, beyond almost anything I've ever seen.
Almost anything. Yep.
It is one of the most remarkable, some of the best close quarters. And you talk about Muay Thai, I can't remember what's the name of it.
Pencak Silat.
It's this martial arts that is indigenous to Indonesia, and it's a lot of elbows and knees and kind of like Muay Thai. It's kind of like Tony Jaa,
just a quick way to run down this art is you have a lot of arts that are navigational to go toward vital spots. Pencak Silat works at just destroying everything in front of you. So they'll break your hands, they'll break your elbows, whatever they can do to get to your hand.
There's the scene, and you need to watch this movie.
I've seen The Raid.
Oh, you've seen the first one?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. You've seen Raid Redemption. Did you like it?
Yes, I loved it.
Okay, so then I'm not giving anything away here. Good. And this is not really a spoiler, but that there's one action sequence where he's fighting these guys in the hallway before you get to the bad guys at the end, and he has this knife, and I still cringe every time whenever he kicks that guy, and the guy goes down almost in a lunge position, and his leg is up and his knee is up, and he stabs that knife right into his thigh and then pulls it to his knee.
Yep.
But anyway, that's my number 3.
Good number 3. Okay, my number 3 was already picked, so go ahead and do your number 2.
Number 2 is going to be, and you'll know why this is 2 and not 1. Mm-hmm. Enter the Dragon is 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad someone mentioned that one. It's not on my top 5.
Mine either.
No disrespect intended. I think it's a fantastic. In fact, that would be probably the classic and quintessential martial arts movie.
Started it all.
I was thinking about this earlier, and I was talking with the wife about this on the way over. If I was going to put top 5 lists together of martial artists, Bruce Lee would be my number 1 every time.
I think
every
it
time.
Should be every one.
But if we're talking about martial arts movies, I have to give my number 1 to a different movie, and I think this guy knows which one I'm giving it to.
Well, yeah.
But anyways, number 2, Enter the Dragon. Love the movie. It's got some of the most iconic film scenes in it. Still echoed to this very day. Mm-hmm. And there's not much you can say. There's not much I can say about Enter the Dragon. It hadn't already been said by people.
It legitimized Bruce Lee, as far as a movie star, because everybody had known about his martial arts prowess.
Right.
It was just a vehicle for him to be seen by everybody. And that same formula that they used in Bloodsport. I mean, Bloodsport is just a rip-off of Enter the Dragon. Just go to a tournament, and see who's the best fighter.
And fun fact, Jackie Chan used to work with Bruce Lee in a stunt team.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's in some of his movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was. Where did I see this on YouTube somewhere? Jackie Chan told his favorite story about him and Bruce Lee. And it's on YouTube. I think Jackie Chan was telling the story. It was a story about him and Bruce Lee. I'll look it up somewhere on YouTube, but he basically says this time he's like, I'm gonna test Bruce. I want to test him to see how good he is, and he was as good, every bit as good as Jackie Chan thought he was, and he hit him. Punched him in the face or something. He's like, "You okay?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And it's a good story to hear Jackie Chan.
It's in his autobiography. That story is.
Is it? Okay.
I believe it is. 'Cause I've read his autobiography and it talks about that. Mikey, number 2.
My number 2. All right, my number 2 used to be my number 1 until about half a year ago. It was number 1 for 20 years.
Okay.
All right, and it's The Legend of the Drunken Master, a.k.a. Drunken Master 2. It was number 1 for many, many years.
And rightfully so. If you think about a martial art movie.
To me, that's Jackie Chan's magnum opus.
It is.
That's my favorite of his, and I think it's his greatest. And it shows off. It showcases everything. I'm like Porky Pig over here. It showcases everything that he does best. I mean, a comedian and those fighting styles, and then just the notion of being a better fighter when he gets drunk. Is beautiful.
It is.
And it has this wonderful payoff at the end with that great fight sequence in that factory or whatever, and it just goes on forever. And it's certainly those type of stunts have been overshadowed by more aggressive, insane type stuff.
A little bit more flashy, a little bit more.
Right. But just
the
not simple, but almost when you look back on it, the simplistic, like the beauty of
it's just fighting.
Right, of that art form. And,
it's just a pure
just
martial
the choreography.
Yeah.
Just the dance. Just watching the dance happen.
The thing that I always look back on in Legend of the Drunken Master was it had probably the best supporting cast outside of Rush Hour, but the best supporting cast in a Jackie Chan movie.
It does. It's great.
Because the mom and the dad.
I
and he's
love that.
Isn't it great?
Yes.
Absolutely. The mom's funny.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she
I don't know
is.
the actress name, but she's so funny. I remember I watched that movie and I like gut laugh every time.
Yeah, and the original Drunken Master is a great movie as well.
It is a good
but
one.
I thought that the second one was just that much better.
Yeah,
Done.
it is good.
Done. No contest.
What is your number 2?
I'm gonna be shamed out of here, except for Mikey. Mikey's gonna be okay with this, but I don't know if I sniped a number 1 from you. I doubt I did.
Are you gonna say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No.
Please say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I wouldn't hate you for that.
It has ninja in the title, so it was
And
actually
like,
win.
yeah.
I mean, unless you say Beverly Hills Ninja.
The Karate Kid.
Yeah!
That's a good movie.
I mean, we're talking about martial art movies. I know I shouldn't be picking something.
That was okay. Look, I would call that
classic.
a movie about.
It does have a tournament in it. And I know it's just basic. It's an American. It is a pure Americanized martial artist movie.
Yeah.
A loose sense of the word. But when I think of martial arts, I still think of Karate
Everybody
Kid
has
because
to
back as a kid growing up, there was only one movie that I thought was martial arts, and that was Karate Kid, until I discovered Jackie Chan, and then my world opened up. I didn't even know about, I didn't know about Bruce Lee, but I didn't think he was all that. I wasn't that interested in watching his movies until Jackie Chan came in. Jackie Chan really introduced martial art movies to me. Before that, I thought it was the American Ninja series.
Oh, I love, dude, that's fantastic.
And I thought it was Karate Kid. And so for me, still, and I tried to avoid putting this one on the list, but I could not help it. And
you tried to avoid putting it on the list so hard it rose all the way to 2.
I know, I couldn't keep it down. But because for me, and anyone can argue this point, and they'll be right. But for me, growing up, when I got asked martial art movies, it was always Karate Kid until Rumble in the Bronx came out, and then I had to rethink what a martial art movie was. So still in my head today, it's still that good, even though technically I don't think you could label it as one.
Karate Kid.
I'm loosely labeling it, maybe.
I would still call that. It definitely has a place in this list. Whereas most movies use a martial arts to that is the movie.
Propel the story.
Exactly. This one used as a plot. It was mainly like a plot device. It used
was
martial arts to tell a story.
It was used as a plot.
It's a coming of age story.
Right.
I mean,
but
it was kind of a plot tool, plot device.
I mean,
anyway, and then Elizabeth Shue. I won't lie.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Since we're talking about this, since you brought it up,
I could see Elizabeth Shue crying. Said, "Are you really going to take out your childhood favorite? You're really going to take me out of your life?" No, Elizabeth Shue, Karate Kid.
No.
I cannot do that.
No, you can't.
I cannot do
No,
that.
best on-screen girlfriend ever. Hello. You're adorable. But come on, it introduced the crane kick. I mean, hello. What kid did not do that in the 80s?
Which was a plot hole in
I can't
itself.
tell you. At a birthday
still.
party, we watched this for the first time. We all went outside in the backyard and did practice our crane kicks.
Of course you did.
All right, so we are at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
CJ.
All right.
Say it. Say it. Say it, CJ, because it's my number 1 too.
Talk about it. Go.
The Raid 2.
The Raid 2.
The Raid 2.
Oh my gosh.
Now, how do you build all awesomeness already?
Okay, the freaking
The Raid 2.
Oh my god.
The reaction just saying the name, what it does to our bodies when we even want to say the name of this movie should tell it all.
The Empire Strikes Back to your Star Wars, the Aliens to your Alien.
The Predator 2 to our Predator.
I was letting you have that one.
The Fast and the Furious 7 to your
Fast and Furious 1 through 6.
This movie is as good as it gets.
Oh my god, how do you get any better than the Raid 2?
Don't.
You think the Raid is the best. You think it's awesome, but then the Raid 2 shows up and it completely punches you in the face and says, "Nope, you're wrong."
You know what, Emily? How would you describe the Raid 2?
Yeah, I'm a lost for
How
words.
would I describe it? So much.
There you go.
Named Hammer Girl.
Chick with hammers.
Yeah.
That's how you describe it.
And man with bat.
Yeah, Man with Bat and Hammer Girl. All right, so if any of you guys out there in podcast land have never seen the Raid 2, I do believe we freaked out over this once before.
We did.
So this is your a couple of months reminder. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
This is a public service announcement.
I thought whenever I saw this movie, and the very first person I thought of right whenever I saw it was CJ, and I was like, you have to watch this movie. I watched it on Friday night. I called him the next day. Him and his wife and his other wife came over, and we all watched it again the very next day, just 24 hours later, and I loved it just as much then. And I wanted to see his reaction, because he's very critical of this type of stuff, because he has seen a lot, and he demands the best out of what he sees, and he expects the best. And he freaked out. But what I did not expect was for Callie and for Emily to go nuts over it as well. They loved it.
I love action movies.
Well, it was just so brutal that I didn't know how you know.
And the thing about it is, if you're trying to introduce this movie, first of all, it's subtitled. They're speaking in was Indonesian, right?
Yeah.
They're speaking in Indonesian. You have to read. I mean, it's a little more submersive than your average. Here's your label martial arts movie, like a Jackie Chan movie, which is easily picked up by anybody.
So we are picking subtitles here. A subtitled film.
The Raid 2?
Yeah, you do
Well,
have
you
one.
can do both. I mean, there is dubbed and subtitled.
There is dubbed, yeah.
But I don't like.
Let me ask you, which one do you? Okay,
I'm
you
subtitled all
subbed,
the way.
yes.
Subtitled all the
I
way.
do too.
You can watch
I
Raid
all
2.
the way.
You can watch them all
There's
dubbed,
only
but
I
a
do
few
too.
dubbed movies that I've actually liked, and they have been some of the what's the guy's name? Miyazaki.
Yeah.
There's been some of those Miyazaki ones that I thought have done pretty good. But no, the Raid, yeah, we watched it subtitled.
Oh my god, you don't care. It doesn't matter. It's okay. It's subtitled. I mean, it's.
We have said this before, so I don't mean to be repeating myself, but it is the best of 6 types of movies put together. It is a drama, it is a crime saga, like a mob thing. It's an action movie, it's a martial arts movie. It's almost kind of got some horror / suspense kind of elements. Not really horror per se, but kind of
like gore.
Yeah, it's just some suspense type, kind of gore type things. But then it's an art house film on top of all of it. It's so beautifully shot, and the way that and Callie was really the one that kind of and Emily were the ones that kind of brought that out, and just kind of how the way they shot everything, the set designs, the art design behind the movie, and the way they presented it made it much more than just. You could tell that they put thought and care into the way each shot looked, as opposed to just kicking somebody's butt.
Yeah, I mean, every single thing you could think about a movie was thought about in the production of the Raid 2. It's like you said, it's not just about the fights, which were thought about, obviously, very much care, but it's what they were fighting in front of.
Yeah.
It's where they were. It's the angle that it was at. It was and the story actually is. It is a great story.
Well, it starts an hour or two right after the first one ends.
Yep.
It's one big continuation. Now you haven't seen the second one, is that right?
No, I did watch the second one. I have seen
1
it
and
since
2?
then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a great film.
It just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. I mean, you see the prison scene where they're all fighting out in the mud, and just how cool that is and how beautiful it's shot. And I never thought I would think that mud would be beautiful, but they shot it in such a way that it's raining and it's muddy and everybody's fighting. And it's chaos, but it's this organized chaos.
I've never seen it.
Builds and builds and builds, and it has that car chase scene where the dadgum camera goes from one car to the other car, and then we watch the behind the scenes on it where the guy said, yes, we actually passed the camera between two moving cars from one car to the other to make that shot look like it was going in a window, out another window, in the window of another car while people are fighting in a car.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous.
Because in the first one, there really is no, like, story for the evil. It's just, it's there. He has to stop it.
Yeah, he's a cop.
Exactly.
He's trying to bust bad guys.
What's cool with the Raid 2 is they shine light on that side.
Yeah.
So you can see more coming from there, and you actually start to sympathize with some of those characters.
Sure, it's the whole going undercover, the too deep thing, you know?
So
like,
it's
blurring the lines. You start to empathize with the bad guys.
Exactly.
And see why they're doing the things that they do. And, that sort of thing. So, I mean, yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
Now that we've just exhausted ourselves over that, what's your number one?
Kung Fu Hustle.
Yes! Oh, I'm so glad you said it.
That is a good movie.
Kung Fu Hustle, to me, is
that movie.
A phenomenal movie. And you know what? Emily and I are going to geek out about this.
So going to geek out over this.
I didn't know what to expect when I first saw this movie. And I was blown away.
So, like, you were saying earlier with Tony Jaa being kind of like the new Jackie Chan.
I would say Stephen Chow.
Because he's got the creativity, he's got the comedy.
Yeah, I have no argument with
he's
that.
Amazing.
He is amazing in that. Every character is amazing in that. The scenes that they do, I just don't want to talk about too many scenes, but the musician.
Oh, yeah.
And then how they're showing it in the shadows.
Yeah.
How he's killing the cat in the shadow. They walk by a plant, then later you see a little leaf from that plant falling out because it got shot off by the rain. Just the subtleties in that movie, and then the payoffs when the fight scene comes. You're ready for it. I mean, it's one just big action here, talk a little, action here, talk a little, action here. It's great though. It's great.
It's creative.
It's very
hilarious.
creative. It is funny.
It's kind of like got that superhero, supernatural aspect.
It does.
And Stephen Chow uses some wire works, and he does use it.
But he does it properly.
And
I love it. I love
that movie, and I like Shaolin Soccer. So if they do wire work in those, then it's probably limited.
Yeah, it is.
It is limited, but it's done properly.
I have trouble picking a favorite between Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer.
I like Kung Fu Hustle, but I love Shaolin Soccer too. But
Kung Fu Hustle would win first for me.
First for me too.
Even though I agree with Shaolin Soccer, it was very good. For me, Kung Fu Hustle just had it all. And I actually got to meet one of the three masters in the film, which were actual Kung Fu masters in real life, which I didn't know.
Where'd you meet them?
One was at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. They were doing a midnight showing of the movie. I was like, well, I love that movie. I'll watch it. So they stopped it halfway in. I was like, what? And he was like, hey, sorry, guys, we had to stop it real quick because someone wanted to come over here and say something. And I can't remember his name, and he came up and was like, and so I had a poster. They gave us all posters, and we could all go up to him and get them signed by him. He couldn't speak a lick of English. He just said, thank you, thank you. You know, but he had flown all the way over there. They'd asked him if he would come, and he did. Here he is showing up at 1:30 in the morning, this old man, and he's happy to sign autographs. He didn't know what anyone's saying to him or something. I don't know. But, I got my poster autographed by him, and I was so happy because that movie's a fantastic movie. I need to watch it again.
I do too. It's been a while.
Yeah, with a lollipop. And just love everything about that film. So that, to me, that would be my number one because I don't think I've had more fun watching a martial art movie.
It was so
I don't think I have. And I've had fun watching all of these movies, and I love all these movies. I love a lot of your movies too, but Kung Fu Hustle had the most fun on. So that'd be my number one. All right. So, there it is, our top 5 martial art films.
You know what, we picked on it a minute ago, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's not a martial arts movie, but that's a fun movie.
Still, I love that movie.
Fun movie.
Yeah, and I like the action sequences.
Hey, to be honest, we've been talking about honorable mentions this whole time as we've been giving
really
our top 5.
But hey, you want to think about like doing all the how hard it is to do karate and all these martial arts in general. Like try doing it in a dadgum turtle suit.
In a turtle suit.
So that's gotta have some sort of respect there.
I know.
I feel like there was another one too. Not surf ninjas. Definitely not surf ninjas.
Surf ninjas.
Definitely not surf ninjas.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. We will see you next week on another Saturday morning Samoflange.
Kumite, kumite, kumite.